I'll leave my camera here. I don't think it really matters too much. Okay, so here goes nothing. So at the start, I put the disclaimer in the video, obviously because I was told, please don't stream the comms. So I didn't stream the comms, sadly. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to stream the comms. But anyway, without saying much else, let's go into this. Okay. Get that. So everyone in the team is running ZCB, and we all have Venge. I think some people have recoils, but I didn't have recoil because I needed the extra pots. We run to the exit and drop a brew, because right after the room's done, we just run straight to the exit and pick up a potion. So because of ZCBs, you can, most of the time, 2 to 3 shot Vasa. In this case, I think every single person hit their CCB, so it ended up having 3.3% HP, which is like a near guarantee kill. So I sent my bow and then I started chugging my brew, just because I knew it's basically dead. I ended up getting the kill here, so I grabbed 2 brews, and I dropped 1 for Toffee since he has space. We have rope next, so it's okay for us to be late. If we had crabs next, it's also okay to be late, but the only times where we probably want to leave the potions is if we have Tecton right after, and that's just because we need everyone on time, and the only potions we're grabbing is brews, so we're fine to leave them. If we can grab them, we grab them, but if not, then we leave them. Alright. Okay, so here we have 2 people chinning, and we have, I think, a backup telegrabber as well. Every person that was main row was okay to do their job, though. I am backup cross, so in the scenario that, let's say, CoX, who's the main crosser, is behind because he had to grab Vasa pots or some other reason, then I would cross. So we have backup roles, and we have, like, 2 people chinning. So in the scenario, we only have 1 person that's able to chin, then they would just, I think they'd chin the ranger, and then they can chin the major again. Or we could just have them chin the rangers, and then everyone else just tag majors. But in this situation, we had everyone here, so no biggie. Everyone with jobs. Alright, so Tecton's up next, so I'm in my melee gear. Since we have some people hammering, I am supposed to wait a tick. So what you're going to see here is a mistake that I did. It was just me being safe, so I was super far away, I summoned my Thrall. And then on top of that, I'm beached like 2 ticks late. So I lost a tick. Not the end of the world. Here, I tried my hardest to proc Avenge, and it just didn't want to proc. Oh, there's one more thing I need to mention, hold on. So, I do my last Venge, and I drop my Deference. So, after Tecton, you're not going to need Venge anymore. And I know I'm not going to be able to get another Venge off. So after I Venge there, I drop my Deference and make space in case I get the pots here. We have some people who are designated to stay back and grab an Overload, but if you end up getting the kill, you're just gonna have to grab you're gonna have to get ready to grab an Overload and drop another for another person. I think in some instances they can grab both, but yeah, we usually have some people helping. Alright, so we're not gonna Overload just yet. We're gonna use the heart. So that way, we have enough Overload for Ulm. Like, the Overload should last the entirety of Ulm, but we need to make sure we sip it right as we enter, or right before we enter. So that's why we use Heart. When that imbued Heart bonus thing comes out with the quest, then we're going to use that instead. But yeah, we use the imbued Heart for Vespula. I think in some of the layouts, we can have a few people ZCBing it. But in this layout, which I think is the most preferred layout, we don't ZCB the portal because we don't have spec in time. So of course, I make sure to go here, do a long range. I make another mistake here. My boots are off, but there's one mistake that I made here, and you're gonna see. So I was on a long range, which might seem very small, but having the extra accuracy is nice. My role also always picks up pots here, so I will always stay behind here. As the portal approaches death, we're gonna have 1 person running to get ready for crabs. Yeah, so we have 1 person leading, and then we just I just grab my pots and then get ready to help out crabs if necessary. I'm the last one in, so typically I don't have to help, but if I have to grab something, I will grab something. I think another thing I could have done is, I think I hard chugged the brew when I had plenty of space. So you're supposed to use opportunities of downtime when your HP is low to sweet up. That way we can conserve brew, especially Zerkates. I think there was one point at Ulm, it was kind of debatable whether or not I should have chugged the brew or just like chug sweets, but I relatively like to play very safe. So that's why you'll see when it comes up. But yeah, this is us doing the crab room. We have playground to pull up. He waits. So he waits patiently before he goes up because he doesn't want to run into the orb. So as it passes him, he goes up. You have a lot of time. Like, you have a lot more time. So we start dropping pots for people. We have designated overload rolls, which is why you're going to see those numbers at Ulm. Because we basically sip and drop, and then another person picks it up, they sip, and then they drop in another spot. So I'll explain it when we get there. Here, it's just making sure your gear is all nice and good. I think I spellbook swapped a bit early as well, just so I don't have to worry about it later. Because at the start of Ulm, summon a mage fall. If I didn't spellbook swap, I could red X, wait a tick, and then spellbook swap. Because you need a red X if you want to continue moving, otherwise at times you'll stop moving, and I'm not sure why. Okay. So, I think I am 1-3, so I'm the last person that gets overload. So I summon my Thrall, I overload, and I get ready to hit the mage hand. So, we have a couple people hammering, and we have some people BGSing. If we have extra spec after BGSing it down to 0, some people will claw. But me and Playgrounds don't have claws, so we BGS early. We're the first people to BGS because our extra spec isn't really going to go anywhere outside of ZCB. So that's basically it. So we start off shadowing because, of course, I'm BGSing, so we need to see the state of specs. We also space out specs with hammers. You might be like, why would you space out hammer specs? Let me tell you why, okay? If too much damage is done to the melee hand in a short time span, I think it's, I could be wrong, but I think it's above 5% of the HP in an 8-tick check cycle, then the hand's going to clench, which is bad, especially because we need to get our BGSs off. So we tactically space out our specs, including hammers. Now, you might be wondering, when is this check happening? This check occurs every time Ulm turns its head. So when Ulm turns its head, it's checking how much damage was done in that time span. Why are you fucking hitting me with a what phase? Come on. Okay, so I'm organizing my inventory. If you're kind of slow on switches, you could do instead, you could do Piety, do one Shadow, because Shadow's already super accurate. But I feel comfortable enough to do a 5-tick and then BGS Piety, so that's why I did that. But I do camp my prems near the end. And then I prepare for the hand to die. I like to move kind of far back in case the tank gets burned. So that's why I started running near the back, because there's no reason for me to get ready to run again. So I was really lucky to move back there. No one else burned because they also moved pretty far back. But that's something to keep note of when it's flame phase and the hand's about to die. You just need to be ready to move over. If someone's already burning, then 100% you should get ready to do one Shadow, head turns, start running over to the melee spot and set long range. There's one more thing I need to mention. I did spellbook swap, I think, mid-phase, so I did summon my Thrall. When did I spellbook swap? I think it's after a spec. So ideal time to spellbook swap again is like do an attack and then spellbook swap. But of course you want to make sure you don't have to move. So like right after you move, do an attack. That's a good time to spellbook swap after you attack. But like right there, if I do an attack, I could spellbook swap safely. Anyway, let me move on to the next phase. Did I go too far or? No, okay. Alright, so here I think I'm relatively healthy, so I can start switching. I spellbook swap during transition phase. Something you could do if you never want to like lose ticks spellbook swapping, because when you spellbook swap, your Thrall just sits there like an idiot. What you could do is early summon your mage troll, spellbook swap before it pops up, because the mage hand's gonna die so fast, especially with Shadow. Then I think here I opt into spellbook swap after an attack. I also ran over to where Playgrounds was to drop a restore. I don't think he needed it, but just in case. Yes, he just BGS whacked. Ha ha ha, everyone laugh at him. People still make mistakes. So my items were in a bad spot, but I still managed to not lose ticks here. But here I kind of didn't click my hat. I didn't lose a tick there, because as you see with everyone else, I'm attacking 1 tick after, which makes sense that I did a 6 tick. But I almost lost a tick, which is bad. And then here, I get ready, because the hand's getting low, so I send 1 more Shadow, and then I create a jump on the hand. I'm not sure what the exact HP threshold is, because I haven't calced it, but somewhere around like the 8%, 7% mark, give or take. Now, there's something else that I like to do a lot, but I'm going to explain relatively quick. I do a lot of pre-moving. So I do my scythe here, and I go to the middle as well. And you might be wondering, why do I do that? It's because you can run to the middle on some of your scythe swings, and you don't lose ticks, but you don't take damage from Ulm. But I'm also doing a lot of pre-moving here. There, I healed Other because I saw Tori's HP is critical, and I'm not gonna lie, I worry more about other people than myself. So I healed Othered him, and I know I was in chance range. At worst, I would just take the brood, my stats would be brewed down for 1 hit, but as you saw there, it didn't matter. The hand died, regardless. So this is final phase. So when you're BGSing, you want to wait and see what the specs are. So people are gonna hammer. We want to have at least 3 hammers, at least in CMs. In this, we only have 2 hammers. So we're gonna do 1 Shadow and then start sending Beach. But we do 1 6 tick, so hammer, BGS, and then we do 3 5 ticks, which is Shadow and 2 scythes or 3 scythes. And then here I run straight to the middle and I start maging. Now, because of how powerful the Shadow is, we do need some people hitting the melee hand. So over here, you're gonna see me jump over to help out a bit. I end up camping because I'm healthy. So I do 1 Shadow, and I start camping, and I summon a Thrall. The CoX is huge, thank you. I don't think it's that big though. Okay, so acid happens here, so I move over. So this is going to be something that you kind of have to know how specials work to abuse this. So typically, when the head turns to not chance a special when you're at the melee hand, you want to run back to middle and start maging. But acid happened, and usually after special happens, you won't see another special attack like acid or flame wall or any of those for another 3 attacks. So Ulm does 1 attack here, so I can safely do an attack here and then swap the mage. And then I come back to help. I do 1 hit here. Now, this was not planned, because I like to plan my actions ahead of time before I do it. So you're gonna see some panics in my clicks here. I didn't lose any ticks, but this was kind of panicky. Like, watch. So I go for the heal Other. Right? Or did I already skip over it? I think I skipped over it. Let me go back. Okay. So yeah, I go for the heal Other here, and then I Shadow, but I almost botched it, whether missing switches or misclicking the hand. That and I also did it with Pydeon. And that was just because I saw his HP was so low and I wanted to get me heal Other because I'm running. This was not communicated on VC on who was gonna finish the hand. So I was gonna try to go for 1 hit here. I know Oki and Toy were hitting it earlier, but they didn't communicate at all. Or at least I don't remember them saying anything, so I was gonna go for the scythe here, and then it died, so I'm not sure if my Shadow would have killed this sooner or not, but who knows. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I recall not peering anything. I don't know. Now let me explain head jam. At least in this, it's a lot easier to do head jam in normals compared to CMs, because in CMs, having 1 person taking all the heat, they can die super easily. And now, since you don't have Sangs, people's HP transition to the next phase is not as high, so we can't just flood people with heal others. That and the fact that I think we only have 1 person or 2 people on heal other now. So we can't just dump heal others on the person in the middle. So in CM5s, there's a different way of handling it now. But in normal chambers, since Ohm doesn't hurt as much, and we still have a couple people appeal other in this because spellbook swap, we can do head jam. So the whole principle of head jam is keeping the head in the center, because doing it like this allows the blue pools to be placed in spots in the center instead of left or right, which makes it very hard for people camping on one side to run over. You could say we could all sit in the middle, but there's no point when you can just do this head jam and not take hits. So the whole concept of head jam is to make sure on the tick that Ohm is doing a check, you run to the middle, and then you run back to a spot. I'm making sure to do my bow attacks and then not get hit at all. I do ZCB there. And then on the tick, he does the check, I'm in the middle, and then I run back. I'm making sure I'm not losing ticks as I'm doing it. So, there was one mistake I did make, which was summoning this Thrall late. And the reason this happened was because I did pre-spellbook swap at the start of P3, but I went from mage Thrall to melee Thrall, and I never spellbook swapped again. So I had to spellbook swap late into this phase, which is a little awkward, and then I summoned my Thrall. Not sure if it would have saved like a tick or two, but either way, it's like the small things you always need to think about whenever you're speedrunning, because it could always make or break. Another thing is when it's time to pull up, you might see people pull up like super close to the boss. You only have to move up 2 tiles, so that's why I'm like always moving 2 tiles, because my bow is traveling as fast as possible from this spot. So that's why I still camp here. I do a rapid shot and then I do an accurate, but I'm not able to get it off, and that's a run. Like, the run was relatively clean, like, altogether, and I was pretty happy with how I played, but there were some small things I can always improve on. But yeah, that's basically the record run. If anyone has any more questions of that, then of course drop them in the YouTube comment section when I upload this, or anyone in the Twitch chat if they have questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, that's basically the record run in a nutshell.